Bhutan, a mountain kingdom that says it's one of the happiest places on Earth. On this week's Fast Track, we ask if happy is healthy for tourism. We're with Michelle Yanachan as she and her vintage car make the final push towards the finish line in the grueling Peking to Paris rally. And
later on the Fast Track Travel Clinic, does low cost mean low fare?
hello and welcome to Fast Track. 30 minutes of travel news, escape and inspiration with me, Fiona Foster. I do hope you'll stay with us. Now first today, we're off to Bhutan in the Himalayas, a nation which prides itself on being happy. So much so, in fact, that it measures its gross national happiness alongside its gross domestic product. But what does being happy mean for a country's image as a destination? And are happy countries necessarily good places to visit? We sent Carmen Roberts to Bhutan to find out.
Misty and mysterious, Bhutan is a country that's existed in splendid isolation for centuries, and it wasn't until the 1970s that tourists were first welcome here. Landlocked and sandwiched between economic powerhouses China and India, Bhutan is one of the poorest and least developed nations in the world. It's got a population of just under 800,000, and the average income is $110 a month. And despite all this, Bhutan has been ranked the happiest nation in Asia and the 8th happiest in the world by Business Week some years ago. Plastic bags are banned, tobacco is virtually illegal, and this tiny Himalayan kingdom most famously takes pride in measuring the well-being of its people by GNH, gross national happiness, instead of GDP.
The most visible impact is that there is a little more awareness of Bhutan. I think that is one of the most, the major impact actually.
But what exactly does gross national happiness mean for tourists here in Bhutan?
So this is the main intersection in the capital. It's 4 o'clock, so approaching rush hour, but I've never seen such happy commuters. No road rage, no traffic jams, and that policeman looks pretty chilled out to me.
It's all well and good to have a warm, fuzzy feeling on the streets, but let's delve a little deeper into this so-called gross national happiness. It's a development philosophy first promoted by the King of Bhutan in the 1970s, and it's best explained by its 4 pillars. The first is good governance. A local hotelier tells me what it means for him.
We have a very open policy towards recruitment and hiring of staff, etc. We're working very closely with the Ministry of Labour here. We also have a plan to develop a skills certification center in the eastern part of Bhutan, which is a rather less developed part of Bhutan.
It's something tourists might not be aware of on the surface, but it can definitely contribute to the mood of your stay. The second pillar is sustainable socio-economic development. Equity and gender equality is high on the agenda, so there'll be an equal number of men and women employed at your hotel, for instance. It's a concept that tourists find both foreign and fascinating.
It just seems like a very peaceful, happy place that has been able to maintain values that it'd be wonderful if we could have communities in the United States still maintain as much. You know, free education, free health care. They're fantastic values.
The third pillar is cultural preservation. Geographical isolation has helped Bhutan keep outside cultural influences away. Locals must wear national dress during working hours, and there's also a code of conduct that's been enforced since the 1990s. For visitors, it's like being in a living, breathing museum, but for some ethnicities, it was a sign of oppression, and they now live in exile. Possibly the most visible sign of cultural preservation is the number of monasteries, dzongs and chortens, or burial mounds, across the country, a sign of their unwavering Buddhist faith.
This is the Punakha Dzong, or fortress, and it dates back to the 17th century. Now, there are many dzongs across Bhutan, but this is possibly one of the most important. It's where the king was crowned and where the royal wedding was held in 2011. I pity the poor bride having to get up those steps. Look more like a ladder to me. Let's give it a go.
This dzong was one of the first to be built in Bhutan and is also known as the Palace of Great Bliss.
That's my workout for the day.
Inside, I brush shoulders with monks as they go about their daily business.
Now, this is the monks' main assembly hall and temple. Tourists are allowed inside, but cameras aren't. There's a giant statue of Buddha inside. There are gold pillars and colourful flags, and instead of seats, there are ornate painted boxes for the monks to sit on. This place is a real reminder of how important Buddhism is for the people here in Bhutan.
The fourth pillar in this eternal search for happiness is environmental conservation. 70% of Bhutan is covered in forest, a hiker's dream.
We have a very beautiful nature in Bhutan. We give us a healthy life, and our government makes sure that we do not have lots of industries in Bhutan which pollutes everything, which gives air pollution, noise pollution, and lots of dust pollution to the country, so that we Buddhists lead a very happy life and healthy life.
One aspect of happiness, I think, is just to have a bit of space to reflect on one's place in the world, and so when you come to a place like this, it certainly facilitates that. You know, the pace of life is slower.
People, especially those who are coming from industrialized areas, are not as looking for more of a dharma, more of a rush, more of a honking, more of a. I think probably they are looking for some different thing, some subtle things such as peace, tranquility, fresh air, something different to experience.
While gross national happiness may have put Bhutan on the map, as more and more tourists begin to traipse through their hills, it could be increasingly difficult for the Bhutanese to hang on to their culture, traditions and environment in the years to come.
Carmen Roberts reporting from the Buddhist Kingdom of Bhutan, a place which measures the quality of life of its people by their happiness. Do let us know what you think of that report, or anything else on the programme for that matter, by emailing us at our usual address, fasttrack@bbc.com. Time now for a look at what else has been making headlines in the travel world this week. Here's Greg Mackenzie.
In Buenos Aires in Argentina, some train drivers have been caught sleeping on the job. The country's transport minister has now ordered every train to be fitted with CCTV. More than 50 people have died in train crashes there over the last year. If you're heading to Europe on holiday, the advice is to take extra precautions, as parts of southern Europe is experiencing a sustained heat wave, with temperatures in some areas exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. In Sarajevo, Bosnia, emergency services treated more than 600 people for heat-related complaints in one day alone. Meanwhile, people visiting UK beaches are being warned to watch out for jellyfish after the recent spell of hot weather. Blue jellyfish have been seen in the southwest, and the rarer lion's mane jellyfish in waters around North Wales and northwest England. And finally, is it a plane? Is it a bird? No, it's Jetman. This is Swiss adventurer Yves Rossi above the skies in Wisconsin in America in his custom-built jet suit.
It's just pleasure, fun. It's total freedom.
Thanks, Greg. Well, it's time to take a short break now, but stay with us because coming up, Simon Calder will be here with his travel clinic, which this month includes a warning about changes to luggage rules on one of Europe's biggest low-cost carriers. Plus, we'll have Michelle Yanachan's final report from the Peking to Paris vintage car rally. The big question is, will her 1940 Ford Coupe make it to the finish line? Don't go away.
Hello and welcome to the Fast Track Travel Clinic with me, Simon Calder. Let's start with Gaurav Gose in Dubai, who emailed to say that low-cost carriers between the UAE and India don't live up to their name.
Even if booked a month ahead or even earlier, they often have higher fares than the full-service airlines. What are the ways to avoid such high prices?
Gaurav, low cost does not automatically imply low fare. Airlines, whether they're legacy or no frills, will quite rationally seek to extract the maximum they can from each departure. Sometimes this will mean Fly Dubai and Air Arabia are more expensive than Emirates and Etihad. But fortunately, competition should keep them all honest. In other words, if one raises fares too much, it should lose market share to the others. The best way to keep a lid on the amount you pay to fly between the Gulf and the Indian subcontinent? Simply avoid travelling at times of high demand. Of course, that's easier said than done. Next, Danielle Marson wants to visit Marseille in the beautiful south of France from her home in southern England on British Airways from her local airport, London Gatwick. But she can't.
As Marseille's European City of Culture this year, can you explain why the Eurostar direct service was not extended there? And indeed, why British Airways chose to abandon its service from Gatwick?
Danielle, I've talked to Eurostar on your behalf and they say they'd love to run trains to Marseille. Unfortunately, congestion at Saint-Charles station means that they simply don't have the train paths, that's the equivalent of airline slots, available. They are, though, bidding for some in a couple of years, so watch out for those. And meanwhile, British Airways has simply switched its Marseille service from Gatwick, where it faced competition from EasyJet, to Heathrow, where it has the route to itself. As you may know, EasyJet changed its cabin baggage rules early in July, and plenty of viewers have been alarmed by various reports that you'll have to take less on board the budget airlines planes. Ken Stone speaks for many of you when he asks,
I have a roll-along case that has served me well for years. It meets international standards. Will I need to buy a new, smaller bag to avoid charges on EasyJet?
No, although I sympathise with your confusion, Ken. EasyJet's policy change is designed to ease the squeeze on the overhead bins and to reduce the number of pieces of cabin baggage that have to be taken off passengers at the gate and put in the hold for the journey. If you have a standard cabin bag, it will still be allowed free of charge with the bonus of no weight limit, unlike other airlines. All that's changed at EasyJet is that if you're prepared to shrink the size of your cabin bag by a third so that it fits under the seat in front of you, you are now guaranteed that it will be carried in the cabin rather than loaded into the aircraft hold. Finally, congratulations to Debbie Mesher, who gave up smoking 5 months ago. Next month, she's going to Turkey and...
Someone told me electronic cigarettes are banned, but my travel company wasn't able to tell me whether I'm allowed to take them.
Debbie, I checked with the Turkish authorities and was told there is no plan in place for the ban of e-cigarettes in Turkey. They can be brought in, but only for personal use. Well, that's all we've got time for in this session of the Fast Track Travel Clinic, but whether you're after advice on a destination, a budget train ticket or passport rules, just email fasttrack@bbc.com and I'll do my very best to find you an answer. From me, Simon Calder, bye for now and see you next time.
Thanks, Simon. Now, on the whole, the Fast Track team are a pretty adventurous lot. Kind of goes with the territory, I suppose. But this is something a little bit special. How about taking part in an 8,000-mile car rally racing from the Chinese to the French capitals? And just to make it a little more difficult, how about doing it in a 73-year-old car? Well, that's what our intrepid reporter Michelle Yana-Chan has been doing. And we catch up with her this week as she reaches the final leg of her journey, with the finish line in sight.
When we crossed the start line at the Great Wall of China, we could not have imagined what lay ahead. Mongolia's grueling off-road terrain amid some spectacular scenery. Long, arduous days in Russia, through forests and past endless wheat fields. There were terrific highs and terrible lows. And above all, my co-driver Mike Reeves and I felt relief to have made it to the edge of Europe. Even as the mechanical maladies continued.
One of the suspension linkages is broken. This was the broken pipe, and it basically had rubbed on one side and all the brake fluid was flowing out. And finally we did manage to find something that we could couple together.
Yeah, it's not beautiful. It may not pass an MOT, but it does work. And tomorrow we go racing.
Our car, a 1940 Ford Coupe named Shiner, was placed third, and we still had over a dozen timed trials ahead, offering a chance to catch up on the leaders. we alarmingly realised China was reaching her limit. We were pushing her too hard, too fast, and too far. And there was still a monumental challenge ahead, the Alps. With the thin air and steep hill climbs, as well as a temperamental cooling fan, China was overheating and the descents were killing the brakes. It was here in the mountains that we were forced to rethink our strategy. As much as we wanted to win, we faced too many major mechanical breakdowns. Reluctantly, we shifted our attention from pushing the car to preserving the car.
Well, it's been a very tough few days for us in Austria and Switzerland. In spite of the beautiful Alps, we have just had a catalogue of problems. Mechanical issues have included gearing trouble and losing our clutch. And since then, we've had trouble also with the engine getting too hot and one of our cooling fans not working very well, which is really tough on these steep hill climbs. But we've just got a couple days left now till Paris, and fingers crossed that we keep our position of third as well.
And at a more tempered pace, as we travelled through France, we began to believe the finish line was in our reach. We felt triumphant, reunited with family and celebrating third place.
Over 12,000 kilometers to reach finally the beautiful city of Paris. Exciting, emotional, kind of sad it's over. And if you told me, do you want to go back to Peking right now? I would say yes, fill up the car and let's
go. We shared a few final hours with fellow competitors, keenly aware this was the end of a very special month of our lives.
I will miss China being on the big old roads.
And while China needs a rest, like us, we'll soon be polishing her up, ready to take our seats for another adventure.
Third place, fantastic. A hugely respectable end to Michelle's epic journey from Peking to Paris. Not a trip for the faint-hearted. Well, that's it for this week's show, but do join us next week when we'll be in Budapest in Hungary, where there's a battle going on over the arts.
Hungary has managed to build a fine tourist trade on the back of its cultural scene. But amid protests, controversial exhibitions and cries of authoritarianism, is Hungary taking a back step when it comes to its arts and heritage? Next week, I'll be looking into claims the authorities here are waging war on alternative culture.
So do join us for that if you can. In the meantime, don't forget to check us out online for more tips, ideas and inspiration at the addresses shown below and wherever you're heading next. Have a great trip. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.